the final confrontation of the event 4 of the Retro League, Premier to Death Star 2, and it's Paul Todd Feldman against Joe Horbey. Joe Horbey is can pick the side because he had the better SOS opponent win percentage. Let's check real fast. Here, both were 6-0, and Joe decides to go with Dark. So we are just waiting for Paul to join, and then we hop right in. So Paul has to select his deck because he didn't know which side he gonna play. So let's see what the players decided to bring to the table. So Joe is playing Royalty Operation, and Paul is playing Hidden Base. Yeah, Paul likes to play Hidden Base. I think Joe was expecting that. I think ROPS does well against it. Of course, it depends on which version of Hidden Base he runs. There are versions where Hidden Base is just a platform for activation to get systems out and then play mains instead. There are the versions with matching pilots. There are versions with X-Wings. There are versions with even with those Y-Wings which deploy -2 to Chavin. So he's playing anti-sense stuff. Don't know about that. Usually ROPS is not playing any sense or alter. So if he wants to save one force, he could have probably saved this pull and just when going with Wise Advice, because this has the additional stuff that he can play immediate effects for free, and he probably runs some grabbers, which usually cost 3 in that format, the common grabbers, and they are free with this effect. No combat response, so yeah, we will see what version it is. Holy macaroni, that are a lot of systems for a ROPS. There are also different ROPS versions, of course. There are Trooper versions, there are more ATST versions, there are mixture of both. So I'm curious to see which version he brings. This one is nice, especially that he can pull Honor of the Jedi with it. Okay. We will see if Joe decides to go with a cheap unit here. I don't think he has to fear any beatdown. He probably could also go here, threatening a drain already. It's pretty safe when Paul only activates 5 force. But he just decides to draw a bunch. Maybe he didn't have a cheap character. Maybe he saw something active, which he definitely wants to draw. Interesting. Maybe it was clever to not go there because he's playing Yoda's too, where he can put cards from hand to the force pile. So he's at 7 force already, turn 1 instead of 5. Let's see if it's a Battleground system or if it's just, yeah. So this indicates a little bit that it's a space version because usually maybe there comes the Y-Wings, which deploy 3 now there, -2 and then -2 from Haven. Yeah, I mean those X-wings and the Y-wings from the from the was it a sealed deck. If you play pawn sealed a little bit, you know those ships. And Paul decides to fly there to Reltier to make the flip much harder, because now Joe has to occupy control 3 sides and block the system, because he only flips if the opponent controls no Reltier location. So what Joe could do, if he has enough characters in the ship, he could block this, flip, and then fly there to cancel Haven. But it's still risky because, as I said, those ships still deploy -2 to Javen. Javen. In Germany we say Yavin. And it's probably a bluff of Paul. I don't think he minds this effect too much if he plays a more space-heavy version. I like that ATST a lot, that Scout 2. He doesn't react for free like the Scout 1, but it has the nice effect that his scouts can move as a react to this AT-80. And normally, a lot of the times, the opponents only expect the ATST to react. But then if you have a scout related to that guy, you can react to it. I think he wouldn't draw here. Draws, okay, he draws if not able to otherwise. Okay, it's not only if he. Oh, it's the non-unique. I thought it's looking like. How is he called? The Aunt. Aunt looks similar to the non-uniques. So no troopers yet. Then it definitely made sense that he didn't go down there with one guy, because maybe he doesn't even play troopers. And there is an altar. Okay. I'm eating my words here, saying that do it or not might be a wasted effect. Maybe not. Sometimes you have to be very cautious losing. Like if you have 3 waiters in hand and then you decide to lose one to a drain, and then the opponent plays out of commission, like Paul did here, and putting your waiter out of play, that could be a game-losing, game-losing action. With an ATST, he doesn't have to worry about, always think about your stomach or some interrupts, some cheese interrupts. If you play against Paul, you always have to expect those. You have to expect surprise strike. You have to expect always think about your stomach, or how this interrupt is called, who makes a character lost. And he likes to track. He likes to play effects which that he can put stuff down from hand. But this Yoda's Drew does similar things. He can put something down to his force pile, then use the force to then track the high destiny he put down. Those are not scouts, I think. Nope, they can't react to the ATST. I hope he didn't forget that he won't flip, but I don't think so. And I think he has to control with 3 Imperials, not only control, yes. So let's see. Search and destroy. That is good and can change the math dramatically. It also indicates that Joe was expecting hidden base at least a little bit, because yeah, that effect is best against stuff like EBO or hidden base space. No Kunita, no, because of the chat. That's why, and also no escape. So Honor of the Jedi would be big here, but he's occupying 3 Battleground sites, so it does nothing basically. Did he pull it? He plugged the inside serve view well. Maybe his battle plan, maybe? Yeah, here. Yeah, it makes sense. That he... Oh. Camp is crushing. It was a little slow before we started the stream also. I had to refresh it sometimes. So let's say Camp doesn't give up on us. That would be a bummer. Still not loading. Now. There we're back in action, and Joe Horbey joined. That means he was kicked out again. He was kicked out too. So, yeah. It was not only me. So since he didn't flip, he also can't make the pull for anything. So if he flips, he can use 2 force to pull anything from the reserve deck, and he would love to get a spaceship now. Probably saves... Okay, saves 2. You would need at least 1 force to react once. Maybe he wants to keep the option to react twice. Oh. Now the last free drain of that game, if you don't satisfy battle plan, because Paul definitely will play that one. It might hurt him in the long run. We will see. Because later on, when he flips, he can also cancel drains. But it will be hard for him to get to a Battleground side. At least if he runs, a regular space version. But he's probably fine just draining for 3. But he has to flip first. So unless he flips, until he flipped, opponent force was limited to 1 from each drained systems. So yeah. Okay, There is the site. Some hidden base are running the true version in the assembled decks. Is running this version, for example, is running this side. And his rebels are immune here, I think. His characters % are immune. So if he stacks this with like with 2 EPPs, I don't think Joe runs more than 1 EPP Vader. So he has to hit one, and then he still can't kill the second because he's immune too. And also, if Joe flips now, not Joe, if Paul flips now, Joe has to pay 1 each time he wants to draw a card, which makes it hard to find stuff if you're not flipped and can't pull from the reserve deck. And Luke also shutting down the ping damage from Search and Destroy. So it's at the moment it's looking very, very good for Paul. I don't think it's because of the power bonus. It's because your characters are immune here. Or what do you mean, Luke's with power bonus? Ah, you mean at now I get your question. You would have deployed this forest to Jarvin that you get the power bonus from the system. Now I get it. Yes. Yeah, it's also a nice idea. So here's the flip. He found a ship. Paul saved 2 4s. So yeah, hyperscape could be a thing. I don't think we will see a reaction deployment of a weapon from reserve deck because he would need 3. Here's the barrier. And the grab. He grabs also free because he plays basically the dark side counterpart to Wise Advice. That could mean trouble. That could mean a counter beat, but probably not with 6 cards in hand. Just, yeah. He just wants to deny that he can satisfy battle plan, that he can fly to a system to maybe probe it if Paul decides to flip. So I think that's probably the reason for the barrier. Okay, yeah, Luke is immune to attrition here, but he's not immune to overflow. And at the moment, Joe is adding 3 to his total destiny. And now, yeah, the dream team is on table. I don't think Paul is running any like Dark Strike, or how is it called? The light side Plaster Prophecy to make a character lost. So he has to lose Luke here, and probably even eats some overflow if he hasn't got the Hujix. So quite a big hand for 6 cards in hand, dropping 3 big characters without having had a pull of the objective is huge. He still tries to, I don't know if he has a 6 in the deck. Nope. I don't know if he even wants to do that because he can cancel the destiny. Yes, he loses 1 character from the EPP weapon probably, but still the overflow is worth it, I think. But maybe he knew that he don't have a 6 anyway and just wanted to see a destiny if he wants to track something. Okay, Tarkin is hit. I think this is the... Yeah, he adds 1 to force turn if with Emperor. So if he decides to go there with the Emperor too, he will drain for 2 there. That's a big turn for Joe. We will see what happens at this system here. He probably won't draw any card because he wants to save the force to react. But we are looking at 6 overflow if I counted correctly, and Luke is cancels. Yeah, it's 7. So 6 overflow. What? Didn't I count? Yeah, 6. And now Search and Destroy is active again. And will ping Paul. Ping Paul. Sounds like this ball game you flipper. And he peels. He peels Projection of a Skywalker, which is good in this matchup. Order to engage, Grimtage, Landing Claw. Landing Claw, interesting. And Organized Attack. And Kashyyyk. So, does he already have 5? Deployed 5 system? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can't make this one as his hidden base. So if Kashyyyk was his hidden base, that would be brutal for Paul. And Gamp is crushing again. Hopefully nobody is lacking out. That would be not good to decide. Yeah, an event like that. So it loaded again, and Joe is here too. Saved 1 force. All good. 16 force for Paul. He probably will have to build a hand and rethink his approach here. Gives us time to look at this side. So if he wants to initiate a battle here, it has to be +3 force. So he has 16 force, but Luke is already deploy +2 or Obi-Wan. And it's also deploy +2 from this Raldi objective. So it's already at 9. And then if he wants to attack, he's at 12 force just for 1 character. And isn't even a moon there. So yeah. He goes to move phase, straight to move phase. And probably goes all in the risk. Maybe 1 to Coruscant, 1 to Kessel. And then flip. Because if it doesn't flip, it does nothing. It's only a force loss of 1. Yes, is. So sometimes players have to do stuff which is extraordinarily risky, especially if since Joe gets a pull now from his reserve deck. But if you are behind, you have to make weird plays sometimes to catch up. Paul is not playing to lose by a small differential. Paul is playing to win here. And if he loses by like 30 force, or if he loses by 1 force, doesn't make a difference here. So I expect flip as soon as we are in the activation phase. That just in case if Joe decides to drain, maybe not. Maybe let him pay to drain and flip in the draw phase when he searches for stuff. I don't know. Paul has to decide here. and he played a tunnel vision. What did he put out of play? Grand Moff Targeting is cost put out of play. So no attack team here with Vader, at least in this game. It's wise to stay at 12 here because, as I said, with the pull of Joe, he could also pull Grimtage. He probably saved 4-2 because of the grab barrier. Because, yeah, if he wants to barrier something more, it gets stacked here and then it costs 3. And then he has a barrier and maybe a hyper escape with another force. So maybe the 4 force comes in handy that he stays at 12 and still has the force to play another barrier. But we will see. Joe uses the force, makes the pull, and we probably gonna see what he pulled. Has to be something useful. But he's in a very good spot here. Maybe Suckers and Misty Hunter? That would be a big one. So although it's looking good for Joe, if he eats a drain of 6 here after the flip, it's still hard. Nice! That's another tech cache, degree non-we. So if he occupies another system now, if he controls another system, he cancelled every force, every drain bonus. So it's just a drain of 2 and 2 instead of 3 and 3. It's not that big of a deal in that matchup, but it's a very big deal in an EBO matchup. But a 2 Wackle Mui. But I think this is a little bit overkill now to play this and this, because this one caps the force loss to 2 from a drain, and this one cancels the drain bonus. Oh, it's only a drain of 1. I forgot the minus. Okay, it makes sense. So this makes more sense than this, because only a drain of 1 hits -1, and then all force drain bonuses are cancelled. So he drains for 0 here in every system, and only for 1 and 1 here. And probably Joe didn't want to risk that he loses one of his ships and loses this effect. Basically, the effect of this effect. Because whenever you control 2 rebel locations, he doesn't do that. Or any one planet side, he does do that. And 2 systems. So it doesn't matter if that's a battleground system. So he says, okay, I don't satisfy battle plan, doesn't matter. I'm here at a system, you can't attack me unless you play tentative. And I'm good with a drain of 1 and 1, and Paul even has to pay for it. So here's the flip. So what the math is in Joe's favor, because, as I said, 1-1, but he picks for 2 already. And then he just can add drains in pay to drain and maybe find another ship with a pull to then satisfy battle plan. But I probably would only risk it if I have a Gurk in hand, because, yeah, Paul has to take the risk here, not Joe. I don't know what he's talking about. Paul, he said it's somewhere in there. I'm hoping you don't get it. Training is probably not worth it for Joe here anyway, because he cancels 2 of those 4 drains and he would have to pay 12 to drain for 2. So I wonder what Paul thinks Joe is looking for. Maybe this effect, how is he called? Security precaution. Oh! There is attentive. This changes things a lot. Because if he lands a beat down here and Joe doesn't have a gook, it's quite different. And it shuts down the degree again. So we're looking, he's forfeit 5, I think. Yes, forfeit 5. So he covers 9. It's 4 plus the Destiny overflow. So it's 9 overflow. You never can count out Paul. This dude. You always have to dig for ways. A lot of times player concede too fast, but not Paul, of course. But also not Joe. So Joe will also try his best to to win the game. But the math now is in Paul's favor. He drains for 2 and 2. 2 and 2. And gets pinged for 2. And Joe would have need to pay to drain at every side here to just get a drain of 2 through. So he probably now, Joe is in that situation that he has to make a little bit of a risky move and fly with the Fats Fire Spray, not with the Slave 1. Sorry for that. To a Battleground system to occupy, to satisfy battle plan, and maybe even try to probe it, but he has only 4 cards in hand. And that's a thing here. If the math is basically even, if you probe, you lose a card. And you get that card only back if you probed, the right system then. So, I'm curious to see how Joe decides to play it. He might also block a drain here. Can he move there? Nope, he doesn't even reach it. So his best option would be... interesting. If he goes to Jarvan, it would be normally the best option. But then at Jarvan, his ships have a discount. But maybe I would use the system as a hidden base, where the opponent has the most risk going there. So maybe Jarvan is his hidden base. If he doesn't go to Jarvan, the next system which would make sense is Kithix to threaten a drain of 2. But then again, if he gets counterbeat, then Paul is already at a system where he can drain for 1. So 2 minus 1 from the flip. Tricky situation. I probably would go to Jarvin just because I think that it's the most dangerous system with Haven, with the option of Haven, with the discount to my ships, that I think that my opponent thinks that I should avoid it. But board state right now. Okay, here's another ship. So now again. And he decides to probe. And it's not there. So now probably going to Kithix and probe there. And then... Okay, here's another ship. The problem is, he only has 1 card in hand. And he found it. So if this wouldn't have been the system, he would have had to draw up to probe another system, but he could only draw 1 if he wants to move, because he has to pay to draw. But now it's a totally different story, and now it's looking again very good for Joe. So this game is so swingy. We have only a drain of 2 here, 1 and 1, and Joe threatening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What a turn of events twice. I still don't know why he played this one. I mean, it protects from inserts, but here's the higher Destiny guys out there. I will ask him after the game. Maybe it's good for something else, and I don't get it. It would be great if it wouldn't be flipped, because then those would be drain of 3, and with this one only drain of 2. Now Joe can also draw. Much easier. I probably would even let my ship here, because now Paul has to take another risk. So Paul maybe has to clear one side, which is it's highly unlikely with that amount of force, and then fly to the system, and then he flips him back. But we will see. So hopefully Joe didn't disconnect again. What is he thinking? I think I'm gonna refresh to see. Okay. Do does he want here? Okay. They can react for free here, but not from here to a battle here. So, There is the card I talked about, Paul loves, where he can put stuff down from his hand to the use pile to then start tracking big destinies. So at least the ship's draws of its own, it adds one destiny. The thing is, with Paul having to land another big beatdown, I don't know if I would have spread it that far. On the other hand, if he leaves one ship alone, he can also leave 3 ships alone, because then it doesn't matter, he can't make more than one beatdown. So either let one at a non-battleground and consolidate at a battleground with the other ships, or as Joe decided, to just spread all of them. And maybe, nope, he could have went there. Okay. But he decided not to. He probably knows his destiny. And he's going here because this ship is not a capital. This ship is a capital, so he can't target it with a X-Wing laser cannon. That should hit. No, it doesn't hit because the maneuver +2. It's unusual that he's trying something like that without knowing his destiny. It's unlikely that Joe has to peel something here. He gets +3. Hit and run. Okay. All those fancy cards. So it says that you can move your starship away after the weapon phase. So it's basically a hyper escape, but better if you have weapons, because you can shoot something down and then move away your starship. I hit the wrong card with power. So it's blocking the drain here, but he can't shoot at this ship because it's not a starfighter, but a capital starship. He has to know that. It's probably just either to yeah, it's just to block the drain. So he gets drained by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now, and 2 pings each around. It's looking very, very good here for Joe. probably would pull a pilot and then attack here. He could have something like Spiral to react to it. But then if he adds a pilot... Oh, he can't add a pilot, sorry. Okay, we only get one destiny here. It's the non-V version. So now he can start tracking. If he spends those 4s for something like, let's say, it could be worse. Could be a big destiny put down here to then have the destiny next turn. And there we could see always think about my stomach. Could entirely be possible. And then if he doesn't have another character, he could shuttle down this guy and flip him back. It's a hit. That could be worse. Third drain, first force loss. So after the pull, Joe has a pretty good feeling for what he would draw for Destiny if he decides to battle. But he doesn't have to. I mean, it's looking so good that he could also say, okay, I'm not gonna take any risk here. Let's see if we see the stomach. Nope. Wouldn't even have hit it because he has to draw a Destiny higher than the amount of characters here to make one lost. That would have been a crazy play. Let's say Joe didn't pull any character and then he makes Vader lost and then he comes down with an EPP. Has tracked a big Destiny with it, could be worse, which the force he spent here. And overflowed Joe by a bunch of force. And suddenly satisfying battle plan. Okay, this is a drain of 2 now. Because Janus is with Emperor. And decides not to battle. He doesn't want to lose his ship. It makes sense. Flies to Javen 4 to get rid of the Haven. I can't see a way out for Paul here. With 2 cards in hand, so much behind in force loss. He's still gonna try at least one more round, of course. It's the final confrontation. You play until sometimes you know since quite a while that you're probably not gonna win, but you still at least try. Paul activated everything. So let's see, it costs 5 plus 2 plus 2 is 9. And if he wants to battle, he has to spend another plus 3 force. So 4 force to attack. Let's see if he shuttles Wedge down maybe. To at least satisfy battle plan. Yes, because Obi-Wan satisfies for 9. For 8, sorry. So if he wants to clear, if Joe wants to clear their side, he has to draw a 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. And if so, like, if he clears that side and controls the system, he would flip back, but Joe would probably react, and Paul would have another character here to then move to the side he reacted to, or maybe deploy the character here and then shuttle down to the side, which was opened up from the reacting ATST. A lot of ifs. But at least Paul doesn't get pinged anymore from Search and Destroy now. He's saved 2, although he has only 2 in hand. Maybe it could be worse for this drain here. Oh no, he uses 1 to pull something or to verify his deck. With Wedge, he can pull the Carillion Slip, which is a counter card against the Talon roll. And in my Death to 2 games, I went 5-1. I only lost 1 to Joe Horbey, the dark side play here, where it looked very good for me, but then suddenly it looked very bad. Yeah. What I wanted to say, in my game, I played a lot of talent rolls. I played TTO with ties and talent roll. And I killed a lot of spaceships with it. And the Carillion Slip would have made a huge difference if the opponent would have played that. So he lost Honor the Cheddar from reserve, Jodas Dew from reserve, so he's peeling already. Okay, everything from reserve, yeah. Joe takes his time. He still has 20 minutes on his clock, so it's plenty of time. Probably thinking about if he wants to fight. Probably he knows his destiny. Maybe once even wants to fight twice here and at the swamp. So let's see. Okay. If he kills just Obi-Wan, so if he just draws a 4, he will have to lose Obi-Wan. And this would make Search and Destroy, make it active again, because you have to have a guy with destiny less than 4 character. And Wedge is destiny 4, so it's not less than 4. So I probably would attack, just that he has to get rid of Obi-Wan. Just that my ping will be active again. But only if I know I have a 4. He saw his destiny. He didn't he pull something? The 2 were for this guy, so he didn't pull something with. Okay. So maybe he didn't want to shuffle. But on the other hand, if you know you fight only once, you can activate down to 2 and just grab the lower destiny card. Maybe he knows both destiny. I love that card. It's so good. The react -2 and the ability 2. Let's see if he wants to battle to enable his ping again. Nope. So which destiny did he drew? Okay, he drew only a 2. That wouldn't have been enough. Okay. This destroys a possible plan to flip Raltier back next turn. If he comes down with a 3rd character here, that 2 survive, and or only that 1 survive, would have been enough. So we're looking at a drain of 1, 1, 1, right? Yes, 1, 1, 1. Yeah. Hey. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So what happened? We have an order to engage. Okay. And something else? Nope, I think it costs 3, so deploys 2. So again, drain of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drain of 5. Now Joe puts probably a high destiny down. If this is a 6. Wouldn't it be cool if if Paul plays something like Blue Milk and then Joe activates down to 1 force? Probably to 2 force because he wants to fight twice here. And then he activates the force of Joe. I love that play in sealed. It's so good. I thought about quite often if I would run a Blue Milk in an open format, but then it's too situational and yeah, not worth the slot. So Joe needed a lot of time in the last 2 turns. Forfeit 5. So if it put, who is it called? He used 1 force, may use 1 force to place a card from hand or bottom use spell. Okay. Probably the last turn of that game. One last 2 battles, and then I'm pretty sure that Joe won it. Okay, says, I fight twice probably, but don't need a destiny here because Paul also doesn't get a destiny and can't eat the overflow of 2. And it wouldn't be more because the ship covers 8. So we probably just gonna see a fight here. Or it just says, okay, I'm taking the damage of order to engage. Doesn't matter. We will see. So if this would be an open game, okay, no, it doesn't matter. Because I would say what I wanted to say is, by the way, if he reacts to that with any kind of react, he gets lost because weight is on table. So, but yeah, no reaction here. And if it would be open, I would always expect like a Plaster Prophecy, and he hits him, makes him lost, and then a lonely character would be here. but not with Osel as a backup. So everything pretty safe. Mara gets hit. Let's see the destiny of Joe. He adds 3 to destiny because he occupies 3 battlegrounds, royalty battlegrounds with an Imperial, so it's a destiny 7 in total. Against a 5. Okay. So both of those would cover it. It's 6 here and 5 here from Arndt. Probably loses Arndt. No, maybe not. Maybe Osel. Because Arndt is the better pilot, but it doesn't make a difference in the end. I think they have same power. No, he's power 3, okay. 1 power more. Yeah, and he battles here, doesn't need a destiny. And Paul reacts away. So this is crazy. I was wondering if this would happen, but I wasn't sure. So I decided not to say something. If he reacts to a system where still both of those guys have presence, order to engage triggers, but he can't attack the tentative again because he already battled her. Battled it? It's a it, probably not a her. Yeah. This is quite cheesy. We expect nothing else of the highest amount of cheese from Paul, of course. Mm. So we know the top card is the Hyper Escape. Okay. So he can't, unless he has Yoda Stew, but he can't draw the Hyper Escape and save a force to make that play again. Because I was wondering if I would really want to fly in front of. Hmm. Okay. So he could just react to this guy? Okay, but and if he... I don't think there was any need to do it, because Osel has 1 more power than him. Paul has no card in hand to back up and attack Osel. But maybe Joe just wants to play it super safe. Also no way for Wedge to get here. So yeah, that's fine. Okay. The ping was active again because Destiny 4. So we will see the force loss now in the draw phase. And this makes it a GG after the next phase. But Joe has to attack. Does it trigger 3 times or only 1 time? That's what I'm wondering. But yeah, we won't get to the battle phase anyway. He drains for 2, 1, 1, and he has 3 left. This was indeed a fun game and pretty swingy. So I was counting out Paul, and then I was counting out Joe, and then in the end, Joe made it, but only 7. If this would be match play, it would be open for both of them to win the match, because then we would look at a differential of 6. It's basically nothing. So Joe drains out Paul, and yeah, well played from both of those guys. They're deserving to have the 6-0 spot, both. But Joe took down, I think, his first event. Paul already won one. And he's getting uncut sheet. Those are so nice. I have a bunch of those here in my room, but you can't see it, I think. So, yeah, anyway, see ya, and thanks for watching.